My husband, the CEO, believed his brother's lies and fired me without a second thought. 3 days later, he called, asking if I'd learned my lesson. Instead, I handed him divorce papers and watched both him and his brother finally face the brutal truth of the empire they thought they built. Learned your lesson yet, Quinn? William's voice through the phone was so smug, so full of himself, I actually had to pull the device away from my ear just to stare at it. It had been 72 hours 3 days since my own husband, the CEO of the tech company I'd helped build from scratch in the heart of Seattle, had security escort me out like I was a low-level thief. And now he was calling to ask if I'd learned my lesson. Seriously? I looked down at the divorce papers spread across our kitchen island, then at my laptop screen, which was blasting evidence of $2 million in shady fraudulent transactions his brother, Thomas, had been hiding. I couldn't help but crack a smile. Actually, William? I have. Why don't you come home early? We should talk. The line went silent for a beat. I could practically picture him in his glass office, probably admiring his reflection while Thomas whispered sweet, poisonous nothings in his ear. Good, he finally said. I'll be there at 6. I hope you're ready to be reasonable. Reasonable? The word echoed in my mind as I hung up. 3 days ago, I'd been reasonable. 3 days ago, I'd walked into that conference room expecting a routine meeting about quarterly projections or the big South Lake Union client we were chasing. Instead, I found my husband and his brother waiting like a corporate firing squad. If you've ever felt that gut punch of betrayal, that feeling that everything you built is crumbling because you trusted the wrong person, you need to hear how Quinn got her ultimate clapback. Don't bail now and be left in the dark about how she absolutely wiped the floor with them. Hit that subscribe button, or you'll be kicking yourself later for missing the final plot twist. For the past month, the vibes had been off. William started cutting me out of investor calls, saying I needed to focus on the books while he handled the vision. Board sync-ups suddenly didn't require the CFO's input. And Thomas, God, the family leech had been everywhere, despite joining only 6 months ago with zero tech experience beyond posting motivational quotes on LinkedIn. I walked to the window of our downtown Seattle apartment, looking out at the skyline. I could see the Whitmore Technologies building, 6 blocks away. 4 years ago, William and I signed the lease for our first tiny office on the 2nd floor of that building. We were hustling, eating takeout on the floor because we couldn't afford furniture. I handled every invoice, every payment, every financial projection while William coded through the night, building the platform that would eventually secure us $12 million in Series A funding. Our wedding photo sat on the counter 5 years ago. We were so young, so certain. His vows promised to always trust my judgment. Mine promised to always have his back. Our golden retriever, Duke, patted over, sensing the tension, and rested his head on my knee. Dogs always know. Before we dive back into the drama, let's talk real talk. If Quinn's story of fighting back against the snakes in her life resonates, and you scroll past without subscribing, well, that's a major red flag, sis. You're watching a hero in action. Don't be a passive observer. Prove you're on the right side of justice by hitting subscribe right now. If you're too chicken to commit to the truth, drop a comment with the crying emoji lamenting why you're too scared to subscribe. The communication had completely broken down. Last week, I discovered suspicious consulting fees, $15,000 a month to companies I'd never heard of. When I flagged it, William brushed me off. Thomas is handling vendor relationships now. Focus on your assigned duties. Assigned duties, like I was some new hire, not the woman who invested her entire life savings into this operation. I opened my laptop again, staring at the evidence my old accounting professor Robert Dalton helped me compile. 18 months of systematic theft. Shell companies with generic names: Meridian Solutions, Apex Consulting, all traced back to accounts controlled by Thomas. $2 million siphoned out while Thomas convinced William that I was the threat. The irony was a cruel joke. They'd accused me of financial misconduct over 3 perfectly legit expense reports. Meanwhile, Thomas had been stealing enough to buy a waterfront mansion in Medina, and William believed him without question. The clock hit 4:30 p.m., 90 minutes until William arrived, expecting tears and apologies. The lesson I'd learned wasn't the one he expected. The ambush went down at 8:47 a.m. on a Monday. I got a calendar notification: performance review, mandatory, 9 a.m., 13 minutes notice. My husband, who slept next to me every night, had scheduled my termination through a formal company calendar invite. I walked into the conference room and saw them. William at the head of the table, Thomas to his right, looking like a cat that just swallowed the canary. "Quinn," William said. "Not honey, not babe, just Quinn, like I was any other employee." He slid a manila folder across the sustainably sourced bamboo table. Inside were 3 expense reports. "These irregularities compromise the company's financial integrity." Thomas sneered, leaning in. "We can't have our CFO engaged in questionable expense practices." Questionable expense practices. 3 legitimate, approved expenses totaling less than $8,000 while his consulting fees were draining $50,000 monthly. "You're joking," I said. "The board has lost confidence in your leadership," William replied, reading from Thomas's script. "What board?" I asked. "We have 3 members." Did David suddenly lose confidence in the CFO who's kept this company profitable for 4 years? "The decision has been made." He finally met my eyes, and that's when I saw it. Nothing. No remorse, no conflict. Just cold, corporate efficiency. "Clean out your desk," Thomas added. "Security will escort you." William walked in at 5:45 p.m., still operating on CEO time. He walked straight to the living room, settling into his favorite leather chair. "I'm glad you've had time to think," he said, utterly oblivious. "These past 3 days must have been difficult." I almost laughed. Difficult? 3 days ago was devastating. Now? Now it was a game. "Would you like some coffee?" I asked, my voice syrupy sweet. "I have your favorite Colombian blend." "That would be nice." He even softened for a moment. "You always did make it perfectly." I poured his coffee into his favorite honeymoon mug, letting the familiar gurgle of the machine fill the silence while I opened the drawer with the divorce papers. "Not yet. First, let him get comfortable. Thomas thinks we might be able to find you a position in another department, maybe accounting support." "Accounting support? From CFO to accounting support in the company I built? That's very generous," I said. "Should we discuss terms?" "Terms," he said, leaning forward with that smug negotiator's gleam. "I think you'll find we're being more than fair, considering the circumstances." "Considering the circumstances," I repeated, standing up. "That's an interesting phrase." Quinn was digging through their life, exposing fraud that could send her husband and his brother straight to the federal pen. This is high-stakes drama. If you think your own company is clean and you're not subscribed, you're playing a dangerous game. Subscribe now, or you might find yourself in the comments section later, lamenting why you didn't listen when you had the chance to protect yourself from a financial hit. I walked back in wearing my charcoal Armani suit, the armor I wore to our Series B presentation. William's eyes widened. He hadn't expected the CFO. "Before we discuss terms," I said, walking to the kitchen, "I think we should review some documents." From the drawer, I retrieved the divorce papers drawn up by my shark of a lawyer, Clara Reeves. I placed them on the coffee table. Next came my laptop, open to Robert's forensic analysis. Finally, 2 glasses and the bottle of Macallan 18, the Scotch William saved for closing major deals. "What is this?" William's confident edge was gone. "Due diligence," I said, pouring the Scotch with ritualistic precision. "You always said every negotiation should start with complete transparency. Quinn doesn't play games." His eyes locked on the divorce papers. "Hazel, Quinn, this isn't necessary." "It is," I corrected. "But that's not the interesting part. This is." I turned my laptop toward him. Robert's spreadsheet filled the screen. "Meridian Solutions," I began, my voice ice cold. $50,000 monthly for consulting services. Incorporated in Delaware. And here's where it gets interesting. The payments go to an account at First National. That account signature card? Your brother Thomas's distinctive handwriting. William's hand reached for the Scotch, then stopped. $2 million, William. Over 18 months. While you were firing me for $8,000 in legitimate expenses you personally approved. William grabbed the Scotch, downing half in one swallow. His hand shook. I need to call Thomas." "Go ahead. Ask him about Meridian Solutions. Ask him why he needed $2 million badly enough to destroy my career. Ask him why he was in my office at 10:47 p.m., 2 days before the firing squad, doctoring my expense reports." William stood abruptly, pacing to the window. His reflection looked like a ghost. "The FBI will be doing their own recording soon enough. I added quietly. Clara filed the report yesterday. William stood frozen. I need to go. I need to think. The divorce papers are on the table, I said. You planned this. No. You planned this, William, when you chose to believe Thomas over me. I just responded accordingly. He left without another word, the door clicking shut with a finality that echoed through the apartment. William was sitting right there, sipping his favorite coffee, completely clueless that his world was about to crash harder than a penny stock. The power in that moment is unbelievable. If you're watching this epic takedown and you're still not subscribed, you're basically a spectator to justice. Don't just watch the slay, join the movement. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next time someone gets what's coming to them. The next morning, the Clara's journalist contact dropped the story. The headline: How Whitmore Technologies CEO Fired His Wife to Cover His Brother's $2 million Embezzlement. It was on blast everywhere. By 8 a.m., the emergency board meeting was live-streamed. By 11:47 a.m., Thomas emerged from the building, flanked by federal agents. His designer suit looked ridiculous next to their windbreakers. His hands were behind his back handcuffed. William was suspended, facing charges for negligent oversight and breach of fiduciary duty. My lawyer, Clara, called. The Montgomery Group wants to meet with you, Quinn. The Montgomery Group. The VCs who just pulled their funding from Whitmore. They want to discuss backing your new venture. They offered me $2 million in seed funding to start a consulting firm specializing in forensic accounting and fraud prevention. Why would you trust me? I asked. My husband just falsely accused me of embezzlement. Falsely accused, after you discovered his brother's actual embezzlement, Sarah Montgomery corrected. That's not a liability. That's your origin story. 6 months later, I was signing papers. Whitmore Technologies stock had crashed to 10% of its peak value. With Montgomery's backing, I was buying Williams shares for pennies on the dollar. Congratulations, Sarah said. You now own 68% of what's left. What's left is perfect raw material for transformation, I replied. First order of business, a new name. Phoenix Financial Solutions, rising from the ashes. The building felt different when I walked in as the majority owner. The energy had shifted. My old office, Thomas's brief throne room, was completely cleansed. His terrible motivational posters went straight to the dumpster. William's vanity wall came down. The only thing I kept was a small frame with our original business plan, handwritten on a napkin, a reminder of when the dream was pure. Quinn wasn't just surviving, she was thriving, building Phoenix Financial Solutions from the ashes of betrayal. She had the ultimate glow-up, and honestly, the comeback is always better than the setback. If you're not subscribed by now, you've missed half the lessons, and you're officially going to get FOMO for the next chapter. Don't let your friends get the next tea before you do. Subscribe and turn on notifications, or you'll be kicking yourself. A year later, I was buying my coffee near our new, larger offices in South Lake Union. I heard a familiar voice order a large Colombian, no sugar, oat milk. William stood 3 feet away. Thinner, his hair grayer. He saw me at the same moment I saw him. We stood there, 2 people who'd once promised forever, now strangers. He looks good, William said, gesturing to Duke. Happy. We both are, William. He accepted that. He collected his coffee, started to leave, then turned back one last time. Quinn, the thing you built, it's what we should have built. What I was too proud and too stupid to see we could build. He left before I could respond, walking away through the Seattle drizzle. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction. Just a calm acknowledgement that we'd both become different people. Thomas and William built their empire on betrayal and ego. But what I built, Phoenix Financial Solutions, would last, because authentic foundations don't crack under pressure, they get stronger. If this story of betrayal and justice kept you hooked until the end, hit that like button right now. My favorite part was when Quinn revealed the $2 million fraud evidence while William sat there expecting an apology. What was your favorite moment of revenge? Drop it in the comments below. Don't miss more gripping stories like this. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.